So, this is probably why you're all here tonight, to hear Grace Moss speak. NBC has been working with the Film Lab and with the Shootout. They're very much committed to diversity in media, and they've really stepped up to the plate through a bunch of programs. They're going to be working with the 72-hour Shootout this year, so the top 10 filmmakers actually will be fast-tracked to the final rounds of the NBC Universal Shorts film competition, which premieres in New York City every summer, and it's a fairly gigantic deal, so that's very exciting. Grace is actually going to be providing a mentorship award for the grand prize winner and also the winner of Best Screenwriting. So that also is very, very exciting. So I'm just going to tell you a little bit about Grace. So Grace Barrero Moss currently is the Manager of Entertainment Diversity Initiatives at NBC, and she oversees multiple programs. And what they do is they focus on discovering, cultivating, and showcasing writers, directors, and actors. And the idea is to get them staffed, to find you guys, to find your talent and get you staffed on NBC scripted programs. So before coming to NBC, Grace was the Manager of Development and New Series at Style Network, where she oversaw new series from the initial pitch all the way to delivery. And prior to that, she worked on a plethora of shows for MTV, VH1, TLC, and of course, NBC. She's been actively involved with numerous organizations to support and promote diversity, including the Asian Pacific Americans at NBC Universal, where she is the chapter leader, Filipinos in Hollywood, she's the co-chair. She was selected as a participant in the Women in Cable Telecommunications Rising Leaders Program, the National Association of Multi-Ethnicities in Communications, and she won Comcast's Ingenuity Award for her contributions to the Style Network. So basically, Grace is a serious underachiever. She's also a member of the Coalition for Asian Pacifics in Entertainment and Visual Communications. If any of you are in LA a lot, are familiar, you guys definitely know Kate, and you know Visual Communications. They do the Asian Pacific Film Festival every year. So, and Milton Liu, who is director of EC, was a Shootout judge last year. So it's all very incestuous. But she graduated from UCLA with a BA in English and a minor in Asian American Studies, founded the Filipino Organization of English Majors, and she was a board member of the Campus Filipino Student Organization and a recipient of the Royal Morales Prize in Filipino Studies. So, she lives in Los Angeles with her husband, but we are very happy that she's come to Manhattan to talk to you guys about the work NBC is doing and how you can get your talent in front of NBC through the Shootout. So Grace Moss, yay!
I think you might have shifted the time a little bit earlier, so I really, really appreciate you all making the effort to get here and beat all the traffic. Like Jen said, thank you so much for such a nice introduction. I work at NBC, and the department we're in is NBC Entertainment Diversity Initiatives. And we are dedicated to making sure NBC is diverse. So that's in front of the camera and behind the camera. We do this through programs like Writers on the Verge, our Directing Fellowship Program, our Late Night Writers Workshop. We have an alum, Robert Wu, here, who participated in the workshop last year. So I have a really fun job because I've always been interested in diversity, even when I was a student at UCLA, through all my extracurriculars to outside of work. It's something that's been really important to me because I want to make sure that my community and other communities are represented fairly and accurately throughout media. So obviously diversity is really big right now. It's like trending. But with the success of Empire and Fresh Off the Boat and Cristela and Jacob Virgin and Shonda Rhimes, obviously this is something that has been a big priority for the past few years. And I'm excited to be here, part of the team that will try to move the dial further. So one thing about NBC is that once we get the DVDs settled, for us, it's not just a moral thing that we check on our to-do list, we should be diverse. It actually is really good business sense. By 2042, half the US population will be diverse. So, our content needs to reflect that. The people who write the stories behind the scenes in the writer's room and who run the shows need to reflect that as well. So that's something that is a big priority and will continue to be a priority for us. NBC is a great company to work for. We had a great year last year. We had the #1 show with The Blacklist. We had the #1 reality show with The Voice. #1 primetime show with Saturday Night Football. #1 late night. #1 in primetime. And we've been #1 for the first time in a decade. So now is the time to really jump on because of the success and keep the momentum going, and at this point really try to get some diverse voices, staffed and cast on our shows. Cool. So that being said, one of the things that people talk about when you talk about diversity is like, oh, I don't want to get staffed just because I'm Asian or just because I'm diverse. I want to get staffed because I'm actually a good writer or whatever. And that is our motto. It's always talent first, diversity second. So when we're deciding who gets into our programs or who we want to staff, we go by who has the best script. Obviously, we want to get people access and get people's foot in the door who haven't been able to get access in the past. So that's something we take into account, but we never put in somebody into a slot, whether it's in front of the camera or behind the camera, unless they're prepared to do it and they're prepared to actually kill in this role and do really well. Because if somebody is not prepared and they get staffed on the show and they fail or don't do well, that's just going to reflect on us. And also, like, oh, well, that was the diverse writer, so you shouldn't have hired them because they couldn't bring anything to the table. So that is something that we always think about first. So just know when you're having conversations and debates about friends, for our programs, it's always talent first. And in terms of diversity, for us, that's obviously people of ethnic backgrounds, that's LGBTs, veterans, people with disabilities. In late night and directing, women count as diverse as well. So we actually take those into account when we're doing our annual head counts and making sure that we're tracking our progress through the years. Does anyone have any questions so far about big picture diversity? No? Cool. All right. So I'm going to talk about our behind the camera programs first. And just so I know who's in the room, do we have any writers here? Writers? Cool. Directors? Actors? Very cool. And those of you that didn't raise your hands, what part of the business are you in?
I'm the owner of Filmmaking Cosmetics. And joking.
Marketing over here.
Marketing. Very cool. Awesome. So, okay. Perfect. Content creators. So, the first program I'm going to talk about is Writers on the Verge. This is one of our big tentpole programs. Who's heard of Writers on the Verge and has applied or hasn't applied? Yeah? Okay, cool. So this is a great program. We will be celebrating our 10th year this coming fall. So it is geared for writers who are very talented storytellers, but just on that verge, but haven't gotten a chance to write on TV yet. So we're not looking for people who are, just studying script writing. They don't know what an ABC story is. These are people who are very talented writers who just need that extra polish to get staffed on the show. So Writers on the Verge, just so you have an idea of the timeline, we accept submissions from May 1st through 31st. It's always May. We review submissions throughout the summer. We do 30, last year we had 2,000 applications. We cut that down to 30 phone interviews in September, and then 15 in-person interviews, and narrowed that down to 8, 4 drama writers and 4 comedy writers. So it's an extremely competitive program, and also very popular. And the program itself lasts 12 weeks, non-consecutive, starting from early October through January. The first 4 weeks you work on an original spec. The next 6 weeks you work on an original pilot. And then the last 2 weeks we do a table read with actors from our programs like the Sing Showcase and also some NBC talent as well, which is really great. So we meet twice a week in LA, so anybody can apply, you just have to get yourself over to LA for a few months. We meet twice a week, Tuesday and Thursday nights. The first night is the writer's room, that's where you work on all your scripts. The second night is basically all about the business of television. So one night, 2 nights will be dedicated to improv. We've got folks from UCB that run a session so that our writers know how to pitch on the fly. They feel comfortable in their writers' meetings. They know how to be relaxed when they're meeting with showrunners. We have folks from our programming and research teams, so they know what we're looking for when we're looking at numbers and how shows are placed in the schedule. And we also do a pitching school, which is done by one of our executives from the studio, and he talks about what makes a great pitch, how you need to be in the room, and just what beats you need to follow so that people will want to lean in and buy your show. At the end of the program, we don't pay anybody. It's totally, you volunteer your time and you get a lot out of it. At the end of the program, we have a big event where we will introduce you to the industry. So agents, managers, NBC, Universal executives. We also partner the writers with mentors within our current programming and development team so that they can start their own relationship. They'll read all their work and give notes. And so it's a really great program. Highly encourage everybody to apply. If you're, in terms of submission, you just need to submit a spec of a show that was written in the last broadcast year. It could be comedy, drama, NBC, cable, it doesn't matter. And in terms of the shows, the specs that got in for this year, we've had a House of Cards, Boardwalk Empire, Elementary, Orange is the New Black, Brooklyn Nine-Nine, A New Girl, Girls, and a Marin. So there are, a lot of cable shows and some obscure shows too, like Marin. So, any questions about Writers on the Verge?
I have a quick question. How would is there a mechanism for a writer to submit a script, a script idea?
Like to pitch?
Yeah.
Our development department handles that, and that usually goes through an agent. So if you have an agent or manager that you work with, then they sort of are the ones that would be the ones to, yeah. Otherwise, we don't take unsolicited pitches, so it's best if you go through one of your reps.
Thank you.
If you're selected into the program, you said the first part of the program is working on our original spec.
Yeah.
Is it an original spec within NBC, like a Hannibal, or is it just any spec?
Any spec.
Okay.
Yeah. So another writing program that we have, which is in its 3rd year, is the Late Night Writers Workshop, which is what brings me to New York this week. We started it in October of 2013, and it's just been getting bigger and bigger and bigger. This past year, we had our submission window open for just 2 weeks, and in those 2 weeks, we got 2,000 submissions from writers all over the country. And it's a similar process. It's like Writers on the Verge, but shorter and focused just on writing your packets. So of the 2,000 applicants, we chose 8. And the class size varies. Last year we had 6, the year before we had 10. So it really depends on the talent that we find. And the program starts off here, well, the whole time it's in New York, but we start off with going to a sound rehearsal. And then the next day is when class starts, and each day is focused on a different part of your packet. So, monologue, desk bits, sketches. And the program is facilitated by John Reynolds, who is a instructor at UCB, and he is also the head writer at Late Night with Craig Ferguson. Yes. And so it's a really great program. We also get guest speakers like Michael Shoemaker from SNL, John Ryman, who is the head monologue writer for Fallon. Seth Meyers came in 2013. Last year we had Amber Ruffin, who was the first African-American female to write in late nights. And this year we're actually going to have Andrew Law, who's one of the few Asian American writers in late night, and he was a graduate of our UCB program in 2013. So it's really, really great. You also get to network with other writers and develop relationships with the executives that come through and speak to. And at the end, as positions open up for late night, which are few and far between, we do our best to push our writers forward, either sending their packets directly or giving, our thoughts of like, yeah, you should hire this guy, you should make sure to meet him. One of our writers from 2013, she's actually staffed on the James Corden show on CBS, which is great for her. And another one of our writers continues to get his jokes on David Letterman, or in the past David Letterman. So it's a really fun program. Any questions about that? Do you have any comedy or sketch writers here besides Robert? Yeah? Okay, cool. Yeah, it's definitely a great program to look into. And then 2 other programs that we have that aren't open to just submit to openly, but just so you know about our efforts at NBC, we have a diverse staff writer initiative, which means that our department will pay for a diverse staff writer on every show on the network. And we will cover those salaries for up to 3 seasons. So that's to incentivize showrunners and EPs to hire diversity because we'll pay for it, so they can't say money is an issue. And that also is an opportunity to create a pipeline of talent. So ultimately, in a perfect world, this writer would be staffed for 3 seasons and then get up to story editor or executive story editor by that 3rd year. And then at that time, they could bring in a new diverse staff writer. And there's this constant pipeline of talent coming through the ranks. So that's what happens there. And then we also have the Writer's Assistant Program. And that is where we will also pay for a writer's assistant on 3 of NBC's shows. And the only stipulation for that is that the writer's diverse, and also that the writer is actually in the room. A lot of times the writers are outside of the writer's room, which is unfortunate because they're missing all those opportunities to write story and talk about how these storylines will play throughout the season. So for us, we want to make sure that if they are going to have one of our folks in that position, that they're part of the process. So that's the Writer's Assistant Program. And some alums that have come up through our Diverse Staff Writer Initiative, one of them is Alan Yang. He was the co-EP of Parks and Rec, Asian American, and he started as a diverse staff writer and then ended as a co-EP. Also, Mindy Kaling started off as a diverse staff writer on one of our shows, and she's obviously now a showrunner and has her own show on Fox. So, you know, it's something that definitely works that we're trying to encourage and continue to do as well. So, okay, cool. All right. So, sorry, directors. Who are the directors in here? Cool. Do you guys direct comedy or drama or
Narrative drama.
drama? Okay, cool. And have you guys ever heard of the Directing Fellowship Program? Yeah. Okay. For those of you who haven't, it's a fantastic program. It's a shadowing program. So what we do an open call for nominations for directors. So this isn't a program that people can just apply themselves for, because otherwise we'd get thousands. We have a cap of 100 nominations, and we ask for nominations because we want to make sure that this director will be vouched for by somebody in the industry. So we open submission window for nominations in October, and we take the first 100 nominees. And again, any industry folk can submit your letter, just not your mom or like your BFF, just somebody who's familiar with your work. And another reason for that is when we see your reel or your sample, it could look amazing, but we don't know if the actors liked working with you. We don't know if you were able to deliver it on time and within budget. All those behind the scenes that we don't see, we want this person that's nominating you to touch on. So we get 100 nominations, and from that we review it and narrow it down to 10 finalists. And the 10 finalists are then shipped over to a few shows, and then the actual showrunners will be the ones to decide who gets to shadow. So we don't make that final selection, the shows do, and that's because we don't want to force a director on a show that doesn't want this person. We want to try to give the shows as much freedom to choose as possible, so this is a program that they would want to be part of and also feel ownership of. So that program is really great because you will shadow on up to 3 episodes of a show from prep to post. We'll give you a weekly stipend, we'll travel you to that location, put you up in a hotel, and after that, everything else is up to you. Booking an episode to direct is really all about relationships, because there's obviously so many talented directors, but folks will get hired if you are trusted and if the crew likes you, if the showrunner knows that their show is in good hands. So this is an opportunity for you to nurture that relationship. And if at the end of those 3 episodes, you have a year to try to book your own episode of TV, which we will pay for as well on NBC. So one of the success stories is Sharat Raju. He shadowed on Grimm in 2012, and he actually directed an episode of Law and Order SVU, and that was because he continued to develop those relationships, check in with us, so we could nudge the shows that were looking for directors. And he directed his first episode of TV this October. He directed an episode of Law and Order SVU. It was the one with Chad Coleman and Megan Good, I think that's her name. But it was a big football episode that was really highly rated. And he was so well liked. He did such a great job that he was actually given a second episode to direct in that same season. So again, that's an ideal situation, and that's always our goal, is to say, hey, here's a diverse director, or here's a talented director you should look at. Give this person a chance. You know, we vetted him, we know him, he won't let you down. They give him a chance, and they love him and continue to book him. And now other indie shows are trying to book him on their shows. So that's how our programs work. Yeah.
For that program director, do you have to be an affiliate, or are you forced to join DGA?
No, you don't have to join
So
DGA.
you can finish the program and be a non-member of DGA? Okay.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
What is the director's program called?
The Directing Fellowship Program. And we work with shows on NBC, but also NBC Universal, so USA, Sci-Fi, E, since they're doing scripted now. So just so you have an idea, last year we had directors shadow on 4 shows. We had Laura Shapiro shadow on Royal Pains here in New York. We had Zhao Wang, who is the winner of Best Director in our short film festival. He shadowed on Night Shift in December. Batan Silva, he shadowed on Grimm. And Boris Rodriguez will be shadowing on Defiance for Sci-Fi and next month. So we're also actively looking for females too. We tend to get a lot of male directors, but again, women count as diverse too.
Oh, cool.
Cool, so while that one downloads, I'm going to talk about the in front of camera programs. One of them being Stand Up NBC. We do a nationwide search for stand-up comedians. That one has been going for a few years now, almost 10 years, but every summer we go to 4 different cities to look for the best comedians. We choose the best 10 from each city, and of those 40 top comedians, we choose 10 to come to LA. We do a showcase in LA in December, again, for NBC Universal executives, agents, managers, and we do a showcase. And the winner of that showcase, the top comedian of the 10, will get a talent holding deal with NBC, which is pretty huge. So you will pay you a fee so that you won't go anywhere else, and then you basically will get first dibs on auditions for different shows. Some talent that has gone through the stand-up program is Tone Bell. I think he won in maybe 2010. And he was a series regular on Bad Judge, and he's also cast in another pilot of ours this year. Ron Funches was from our program, and he's on Undateable now. Hannibal Burris has also come up through our program. So we've got some really great names and great talent that we're looking for just year-round for that. We also have our scene showcase, and this is primarily for, I guess, for writers, actors, and directors. We do an open call for comedy scenes for 2 characters every, I'd say, December. And what we do is from those scenes, we narrow them down to 8 that will be acted and directed on a live stage in LA and in New York. So again, we're looking for scenes by, well, writers don't necessarily have to be diverse, but that's something we take into account. They're cast by diverse actors, and they're also directed by diverse directors. And room full of NBC folks and agents and managers, so that we give these talent that we find exposure and try to give them an opportunity to build relationships with us. The one that will be happening in New York, auditions for that will be happening around July, and the show itself will be in September. And some success stories from the New York showcase, we had Mark Tallman as one of our actors, and he was cast in State of Affairs. He was actually playing Katie Heigl's fiance. Also, Natasha Rothwell. She was in our Scene Showcase this past September, and she is now a writer on SNL, which is pretty huge and amazing. And I think there was one more that I think about it. We also have talent scholarships with UCB and People's Improv Theater. So for those of you that take class there or are interested in doing sketch and comedy, we will do a showcase. And the winner of those showcases for UCB and Pitt, we will pay for your tuition for a bunch of classes for a certain amount of time. And again, we just want to make sure that there's diversity going through these programs, that they have an opportunity, that money isn't an obstacle for them. And we're also developing a scholarship with Second City as well. So those are some things to be on the lookout for. Cool. Have any of you guys applied for the Short Film Festival or submitted any work? Okay, great. Good. So the Short Film Festival is a pretty huge festival. We actually, if you want to submit something now, the window's open and it'll be open through May 1st. A few parameters: it has to be under 20 minutes, and there needs to be somebody that's diverse, either in front of the camera or behind the camera, and that's it, just as long as there's one person that's diverse. We cover everything: drama, comedy, sci-fi, horror. The winner of the horror film gets a Chiller Award, and they get to direct a few episodes from their web series, I think The 5 States of Fear, which is a great opportunity and another great sort of synergy between us. And here's a little teaser.
What's your favorite festival?
Obviously, the Toronto International Film Festival.
Things like this are really important to bring different filmmakers and get them to introduce them to the industry.
What's great about this film festival is that they put a spotlight on you, and it's a chance for your project to shine, and with that, it's a chance to introduce yourself to people.
Why'd you submit to this festival?
I knew it championed unique voices, and my film is very specific, and I felt like it was the perfect festival for it.
Film festivals are the best platform for your work.
Well, the NBC Universal Short Film Festival is a free festival, so they can submit as many films as they want
yes.
to. First off, congratulations.
Thank you.
You guys won for Best Short and the Audience Award.
Paulie! Yeah!
How did that feel?
It's incredibly humbling and it's an honor to win that award. I was pretty amazed at the attention that they've given us, and it seems like they've expanded things. And we had a day of workshops yesterday, which were probably some of the best industry classes that I never got at film school.
The winner of the Best Actor Award is Montserrat.
It's always so amazing when people recognize your hard work.
So it's a great festival. We also work with Outfest, Writers Guild, Producers Guild, the DGA. We've got some great partners and also a lot of great prizes. So if you are a winner, the prizes depend on what award, but we give awards out for Best Director, Best Short, Audience Award. We're working with NBC Universo to do a Best Latino Filmmaker, working with Oxygen to try to do a Best Female Filmmaker Award. And in terms of prizes, just so you know, it's worth your while. First of all, it's free, so it's worth your while. It's worth value, yeah. So some of the prizes are iPads. I believe all of the winners get iPads. We also, Panavision has donated a camera package worth $60K for the filmmakers to use for their projects. Operations at NBC Universal also has donated use of their post-production facility so that you can edit your film. We do, ads in all the trades, Variety, Hollywood Reporter, all our winners, so that everybody knows who you are. You can get all that exposure as well. Yeah, so it's great all around. Any questions? Yeah.
So this is, sorry, I'm just going to ask the name again. It's a short film showcase?
This is the NBC Short Film Festival. And before this was called Shortcuts, but we changed it last year to NBC Short Film Festival. Again, you can submit now. Any genre has to be less than 20 minutes and at least one diverse person, either in front of or behind the camera.
Is it also documentary?
No, this is all narrative work.
Oh, okay.
And thank you for bringing that up. Also for the Directing Fellowship Program, you can submit documentaries as some of your samples, but we need to see a piece of narrative work as well, at least one. So that's a very good question. Any questions about, yes?
Is it an actual festival, or is it one of these online things where you
It's a festival.
You have an actual place that takes place? Is it in New York? Or?
Yeah, so thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah.
So we do the semifinal screening here in August, and that will usually be around 14 films. Last year it was at the SBA, I think on 23rd. And then we do a big VIP reception and gala for all of our filmmakers and our partners. Asian on Film Lab was there, so that you can meet other folks in the industry and network with them. And then of those 14, we choose 7 or so to come to the finals. And we'll fly you to LA, put you up in a hotel for a few days. And that screening, we're trying to find a bigger venue because it's going to be our 10-year anniversary. But that screening has been at the DGA in West Hollywood. And again, it's probably one of our biggest events for the department. We've got talent that comes, we have a whole red carpet, all of our NBC folks, our talent casting folks, Bob Greenblatt, who's the chairman of NBC, Jen Salke, who's the president of Primetime. All the big dogs come out for this one, so it's definitely a huge event. Yes. Any other questions? Cool. All right. So, outside of the programs that we facilitate ourselves, we also partner with a lot of other organizations, such as, we partner with a few other organizations. National Hispanic Media Coalition, they put on a workshop that we, NBC and ABC pay for. It's for, actually you don't have to be a Latino because there's a Filipino woman in that program. They're looking for writers who just care about diversity. There's actually a white writer who was not diverse. She's female, but she's not ethnically diverse, but she happened to work with Latino communities. And so that was something that was clearly a passion of hers. So you don't have to be diverse for NHMC. You just have to have a passion for diversity in your writing. So if you're interested in applying for that, the submission window opens in April. You can submit any material you want. It could be a spec, pilot, short story. And the program will actually begin in September and lasts for 5 weeks. It's full-time, so 40 hours a week. So if you're here in New York, you'll need to get to LA somehow, maybe take a month off of work. But yeah, NHMC is a great program. They've been around for over 28 years, and they are very huge advocates for the Latino voice and Latino storytelling. So it's a great program. We also have the CAPE New Writers Fellowship. Have you guys heard of CAPE? Yeah, it's the Coalition of Asian Pacifics in Entertainment. I believe it's actually based in LA. It started off as a screenwriting competition in 1999, and last year they made this program into a fellowship. It's facilitated by Steve Tao, who is one of the executives at Bad Robot. And for this program, you can submit a spec or a pilot. The submission window is in December, and so it's for that the whole month of December, closes in January, and the program actually just started a few weeks ago, so I think it starts sometime in March. There's 11 sessions over 6 weeks, and you meet for 2.5 hours each session. You also get a stipend, and some writers from that program have been staffed on USA's Complications, NBC's Hannibal. They've also been coordinators on Allegiance as well. And I actually just stopped by their writers' room session on Tuesday, and it was fantastic. Angela, do you guys watch The Walking Dead? So Angela Kang, who's the co-EP of that show, one of the co-EPs, she was one of the panelists. Adele Lim, who was a showrunner on Star-Crossed, and she's now writing, I think, on NCIS. Kyle Harimoto, who I think was on Hawaii Five-0 and is now writing on NCIS as well, were part of the panel. So it's cool to see these Asian Americans that are working on these huge shows and talking about their experience. And just so you know what we talk about, they talk about everything from, the stereotype of being the quiet Asian in the room and how that has affected them in getting staffed, if at all. They gave pointers on how to behave in a writer's room and in your meetings with showrunners. And they talked about diversity and just how that affects your writing and all this stuff, and other things outside of race. So it's really, really great program. I think there are 10 writers in it right now, and 2 of them are feature writers. So it's for feature or for television. So that's a great program. And then we also work with Tribeca. I'm actually going to be here again in April because we go to the Tribeca Film Festival every year to scout talent and meet with the directors. So if there's a talented director that we happen to meet and you like their work, they automatically become a finalist in the Directing Fellowship Program. So they don't need to get a letter of nomination. They don't need to go through that whole process. They're in. And actually one of the directors we met with last year, his name's Barney Chen. And he's Asian American, LGBT, fantastic director who we loved his work so much. It's a film called Baby Steps that we've flown out to LA to visit us for a meeting, and now he's going to be one of our directing fellows. So that is another program.
Is that for short and feature films, or do you
Yes.
only get feature directors?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, yes. And we also work with the American Black Film Festival. Every June we come back to New York. This year we're trying to put together a panel of the African American talent that have been on SNL. Still TBD. It's sort of hard to get Lauren Michaels' permission, but hopefully that will happen. And we also partner with Universal Pictures. They have an emerging writers program. So for those of you who are feature writers, that is another great program. It is in its 2nd year now, but you actually get an office and you get to work, help do notes and polish some of the projects that are already in the works. So that's another great thing to look into. And we're also developing a playwright and actor in residence with East West Players, which is a great Asian American group based in LA. So if you're a playwright or a theater actor and interested in that, just be on the lookout for that opportunity. Cool. And so these are just some, I know it's hard to read. These are just some of the success stories of the talent that have come out through our programs. Nisha Ganatra, she was a directing fellow and shadowed on, I want to say maybe Community or maybe Parenthood. But now she is actually one of the producers on Transparent. Is it Transparent? Transparency. Transparent. Transparent. Sashir Zamata, she was a finalist for our UCB showcase, and she's obviously now one of the talent on SNL. Brigitte Munoz-Leibowitz, she was one of our writers on The Verge last year. She got staffed on Brooklyn Nine-Nine. This season she got up to story editor, and her episode that she wrote was actually nominated for an NAACP Image Award. And then we also have Rashad Rezani. He was a writer on The Verge in 2008, and he is now EP of Allegiance, and also has an overall deal with NBC. So we do our best to bring all this talent to folks and get them staffed and hired. And then if you go to the next one. So if you guys have questions about our programs, you can obviously visit our website. We also post updates on any submission deadlines, when finalists have been announced, if there's been any deadline extensions. All of that is on our Facebook. We're also on Twitter, and we're also on Instagram. So just look for NBCU Tips. TIP stands for Talent Infusion Programs as well. So I'd love to answer, I know I kind of flew through all this, but I'd love to answer any questions you may have about our programs, tips for submitting to anything. So let me know if you guys have any questions.
Is there a pipeline where you just do a direct submission, but it could be embellished, if you will, by submitting it through some type of procedure with you? So suppose I have a script, and say, let's call it a spec script from now, based on the show that's on. And I just, okay, I'm diverse, whatever, but my script is good. I just want to give it to you. I just want to give it to NBC. Is there a mechanism for me to do that through your auspices? That's a direct question.
Yeah, no. I think the best way would be not to go through us, but to go through the proper channels with development through your agent. We do have a diverse development fund, so we have money set aside to actually produce and pilot projects with diverse auspices, so that we make sure that that's happening and we're not just, and we oversee that and help decide what gets, what moves forward. But in terms of actually getting something through the door, it's best if you just go through your agent or manager. Yeah. Yes.
For NBC writers on the Verge, so I know you need an initial spec script to apply to the program.
Yeah.
Do you also need like a pilot script for later stages in the program if you
Yeah, just one spec and that's it. I do have to say, as another insider tip for those of you writers that plan to apply in the future, we ask, I think, maybe 2 essay questions. And I think it's very important that you treat those as if it's a third sample. Because we actually read those, and if we're on the fence about someone, a lot of times we'll just read what their bio or whatever their essay says. So for example, last year one of our questions was, what would page 100 of your autobiography say? And if you respond, my name's John and I've loved TV ever since like Roseanne or whatever, like that's an automatic DQ, because first, you're not reading directions, and second, you're not telling a story. It's really like you want to hear great stories from great storytellers. And if you can't take something as a simple essay, like, what a fun question to answer. And if you're being lazy about it, we just sort of DQ that. And also, another tip for those of you that want to apply, definitely pay attention to the instructions. So file size, if we ask for a spec versus a pilot, because we do one round just to go through like whoever followed all the specifications. And I'd say after the first round of just the pre-reading, we lose a couple hundred, which is dumb. It's like you're given this opportunity, and if you can't follow directions or upload something correctly, that's your bad, and so you should be in program anyways. So just really pay attention to that. And in terms of when you're thinking about what spec to write, really just go with what show you know really well, what genre you feel most comfortable in, and also, make sure that you're writing the tone of the show, because a lot of times you might get a spec where a main character might die at the end, or something where they have just an A story but no B story, and that's not true to how the tone is. So we're looking for how closely you can write the show, but also still have a fun, exciting story to tell. Yeah.
Are you looking for specs at this, like the current point in the series, or
anything that aired in the last broadcast season? Yeah, and also be up to date. So if you're on like, if your spec is the first season from something with the first season of Orange Is the New Black, you should definitely try to be accurate with where they are in the story. Yeah. Other questions? Yeah.
If I work for NBC Universal, can I still submit?
Yeah, we actually had somebody that works in marketing apply to our scene showcase, and we chose her scene. We didn't know that she worked for us. She just happened to have the same 818-777 number, and we're like, oh hey, you're right downstairs. So yeah, if you work for the company, that's fine. Yeah.
Do you require all the submissions to be copyrighted or WGA registered or anything like that?
No, we just ask you to sign a release.
To sign a release?
Yeah. Yeah, I know. I think ABC, like, we have to get it notarized or something. Just if you sign a release, that's fine.
I know you have like sister companies or sister networks. If you submit to some other network that's owned by NBC, is that frowned upon? You submit to Bravo.
You mean if you're submitting for a staffing position?
No, for let's say a show.
Like pitching a show?
Yeah.
Oh. No, we really don't work with them in terms directly with development. So if somebody's pitching to Bravo or USA, that's sort of those development teams will take care of it.
Okay.
We work really mostly with staffing folks. So we're not trying to get people to pitch stuff to the network. Yeah. Well, if you guys have questions, I highly recommend checking out the website. It outlines all of our programs. There's also cards outside. There are these purple tips cards, and that also has all of our info and then outlines these programs as well. Thank you so much,
We actually were not quite done yet. So Youn has some announcements about the 72-hour shootout. She's got some information for all of you. I know some people came in a little bit later, so if you have questions, she's here to answer them. For those of you that don't know her, she's a very talented videographer, editor, and director, and she's coordinating our 72-hour shootout this year. So and she also has 2 calls to action for you, and we're going to be drawing raffle winners shortly, so good.
Hi everyone, I'm Youn. I'm 74 Shootout Coordinator. Does anyone know, everyone know what's the 74 Shootout Film Festival? Can you tell me what it is?
Yeah.
It's a competition where teams with at least one Asian person of descent.
Yes.
They create a film in 72 hours and they get a suggestion on at the beginning, and they have to incorporate that, and it can be a global.
The secret theme, yes, correct. So 72-hour shootout is basically what you said. What's your name?
Oh, Albert.
Albert. As Albert said, it's a 72-hour shootout. It's a filmmaking competition. You have a 72 hours, and then in the beginning of the 72 hour, we're giving you a secret theme, which is related to the focus of the year, which is look deeper, beauty in this case of this year. And then you have 72 hours to write and shoot and edit and complete the whole film in the length of 5 minutes. So if you have any questions about 72-hour shootout, I'm here to answer the questions. So does anyone has a question? John?
You have to score it also, correct?
I'm sorry?
You have to score it also?
Score
the
it?
music?
Music, yes. You can incorporate some music as well, original music.
Okay.
Yes.
You had mentioned earlier that hashtag don't label me. What is
Yes.
that about?
So that's going to be the one. So I do have 2 of the call for action today for you. So first one is I'm going to go over that one first. So New York City media, NYC media, they suggested to put Asian in front of our Film Lab Present, which is the TV series that we had in 3 seasons already. And suddenly this is our 4th season, and they suggested put Asia Film Lab Presents because that to wording, the racial one, and wording that this is diverse program and a lot of Asians in it, which doesn't make sense at all. So basically we are created Film Lab Presents to show people that diverse media and diverse entertainment can be doing well without regardless of the racial makeup. And now they're asking us, okay, so put label Asia in front of Film Lab Presents. Without that, we're not going to air this. So we are asking people to call for action to go to the New York City Media Facebook page and post your opinion about that with hashtag don't label me, hashtag Asian American Film Lab or Film Lab Presents. So please go to a Facebook page and then say about something so that your voice can be heard. Because it's not about the Asian geographic show. This is not about, and it's not only about the Asian, and it has a lot of diverse people in it, and it's very just diverse American content, and they're just asking to Asia to.
Is the shootout sort of centered on Asian American, or is it open internationally? You and I got into this before about it. It could be subtitled or whatever.
So that was actually a really big question last year. It became, so what we do is we if you're interested in the shootout, highly recommend that you like the Shootout page on Facebook and that you join the group page so that you can actually, because we have these forums so that people all over the globe can collaborate and network and talk about Shootout. And this became a very hot topic on the forums last year. What's diverse? What is Asian? Is Asian Russian? What are you trying to do here? And so at the Film Lab, we are all about diversity generally. So we're not about a homogenous look. That's not what we're interested at all. Like, you can look at our poster, you can see that we want all sorts of different people, all sorts of different ages, races, colors, whatever. So what we do require, so the lowest represented group in television and films in the United States are Asian Americans. We are the lowest represented group, and according to GLAAD, we are the only group whose representation in primetime television has actually declined. 2014-2015 programming, we've declined by 3%, which is a lot. That's really bad, and our population is increasing. So because of that, what we try to do is we try to invert, both in our programming and with the Shootout, we try to invert traditional mainstream casting, meaning contemporary American role, what do you think? White, right? I mean, like, none of us blink. When you turn on a TV show and it's all white people, you don't even blink, you just watch it. When you turn on a TV show and it's all black people or all Asian people, you're like, oh, whoa, what's this, what's going on here? And we don't want that to happen. And we also don't want just a purely homogenous show. So what we do to try to balance those two things is we require that at least one main actor, at least one actor in your Shootout film be of Asian descent. Now that could be mixed. We had a woman who was black, Cherokee, and Japanese. That's fine. That's totally okay. And that at least one crew member be of Asian descent. Other than that, we give you big pluses if you'll be diverse. So, for example, if you give us a team that's entirely Korean, you actually will have a little negative mark in comparison to all the other teams because it's homogenous. You're not showing diversity, you're only showing us one thing. So the judges are instructed, okay, like, make sure, so that there's the of Asian descent, one crew, one cast, but then otherwise look for diversity, look for women, look for LGBT people, look for people with disabilities. This is all really awesome stuff. And really just trying to push stories that are the stories that you would like to see. So, write what you want to write, direct what you want to direct. If your actors create the role that you want to be cast for, if you're constantly being pigeonholed and you're so frustrated, what do you want to be? This is your opportunity to be anything you want, and this is going to go before judges who are, without doubt, A-list judges. It's going before ABC's Executive Director of Primetime Casting. It's going before NBC. NBC's providing these mentorships. The top 10 films are fast-tracked to the NBC Universal Shorts competition. We're broadcasting a lot of the films on network television as well as on, the YouTube channel, which is growing and getting distributed, in Asia already. So that's a lot of exposure. And also we partnered with multiple film festivals, so it's kind of like, it doesn't just end with the Shootout. So the first premiere is the Asian American International Film Festival in New York City in July, but that's just the beginning. I mean, we're just ending last year's Shootout at the end of this month because the 2014 top 10 are going to enjoy their West Coast premiere at the Asian Sound Film Festival in Hollywood on March 27th. And the director of casting for NBC will be attending that. So we go throughout the year. So it starts with the Asian American International Film Festival. This is the first year ever. We're so excited. We partnered with the New York Indian Film Festival. We'll be premiering at the New York Indian Film Festival. And then we'll also be holding an event at Time Warner. We work with Time Warner, Turner, and HBO. We have a big screening of the award winners at the Time Warner Theater, which is beautiful. And then we invite network executives from Time Warner, from Turner, and from HBO to come and meet the filmmakers. We have a little reception afterwards. So the idea is to get you seen on multiple platforms repeatedly by a mainstream audience, not like a special little showing and just, where only like-minded people will come. But to really push the envelope and show it to people that might not otherwise watch a film that they think is some sort of diverse, ethnic film. So does that answer? That was a really long answer. Any other questions? Yeah.
Can you volunteer at the festival?
Yes.
I wanted to volunteer.
We would love to have you. And just go to Youn right afterwards, and we would love to have you. We are always looking for volunteers. Yeah. And I want to throw out there, are any of you here actors primarily? Okay. So So for actors, a lot of times what we get for shootout is actors are like, I really want to be in the shootout. I really want all these great judges to see me. Oh my God, it's Rodrigo Garcia. He was like the Emmy-nominated director of Big Love. Like he has to see me. But I have no technical skills, so I don't know what to do. Help me. And the thing about the shootout is that it is, like, we're giving you a lot of opportunities, but it's also about you stepping up to the plate and empowering yourself. So we provide filmmaking how-to workshops. We'll teach you how to use a camera. We'll teach you how to do some sound. Like, but you've got to step up and take the opportunity, take the classes, show up, do the networking, come to the Build Your Team networking party and say, hey, are you a writer? Like, I'm an actor. I can also kind of direct, you know? You maybe want to do a team together. Really get out there, you know, don't stand in the corner. This is definitely not a stand in the corner. This is definitely taking action.
I have a strange question. As a SAG-AFTRA actor, do they get upset if they do a movie?
No, and in fact, we have a legal representative of SAG-AFTRA here to make sure that we break no rules.
Okay, no, I've done student films. I never
No. We partner, sorry, I put you on the spot. We partner with SAG, we started partnering with SAG-AFTRA 2 years ago. And so what SAG-AFTRA does, which is amazing, is they waive all those pre-paperwork requirements. You do still have to fill out the paperwork.
Yeah.
It's on, but you can fill it out later. You can fill it out afterwards, because you don't know, 72 hours, you're writing your script during the 72 hours, how can you submit an advanced copy of your script? So the paperwork is all on our website. It's film-lab.org. And if you go on the 72-hour shootout tab and then you just go to legal, there's lots and lots of paperwork. But there's like, or SAG forms. So you can download them now and take a look at them. They're very easy and it's not hard.
And so as a company owner, first Puerto Rican Dominican-owned cosmetic company in the world.
And he's done my makeup for a movie and he's really good.
So I want to know, we're, small companies doing big things, and how does this work with us? I mean,
So
we have to give a lot of feedback, and there's us.
Youn, I would strongly urge you to speak with Youn afterwards. And she has some packets and some press materials and some information. But for all of you actually who have businesses that you would like to get promoted, there are a lot of opportunities for sponsorship that don't require money for the shootout. So for example, we're always looking for things to put in the goodie bags for the competitors and the judges. So, we have one person who is a very, very talented composer, and he composed a series of our certain segment of our television series. And he offered, hey, what if I put my best scoring CD compilation together, and I give that to the top 10 filmmakers, and I give it to the judges, and the filmmakers can then use it, which is great for them. But then it's also really great publicity for him for the judges. So he's donating his CDs. So that's a wonderful way that you give something to the filmmakers, you give something to the community, you also get press and publicity. It's a really nice way. So, and coming to the events and being like, hey, like I do makeup, do you want to hire a makeup artist for your shootout film? And maybe, you can talk to a group and see what you want to do insofar as promoting yourself that way.
On the submission after the film is completed for your festival, do I retain my rights to show the film? I know that in submitting it, I must give up certain rights, because obviously if I make the top 10, then you're going to show it, and that's delineated.
Yep.
But do I retain all of the rights to whatever I give you,
Not
so I
all
can
of the
show
rights. That's actually a
That's
very
what I
important
wanna know.
question.
Yeah.
You don't retain an exclusive right. So you
Don't.
retain a right to show, obviously, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But that's very important, because people don't realize that, because people will later say, well,
But other than showing it, though, you don't retain any proprietary rights. So you don't have the right to say, okay, this storyline, for instance, of this film is ours because you had submitted it to the festival and created it for the festival. Or am I wrong?
Do you mean, are you asking, so for example, say you submit a film with a story about a turtle found on Second Avenue, and we want to create a series based on that turtle on Second Avenue.
Who's got the rights?
We wouldn't do that, no. But we can take your film and give it to NBC and have them air it.
Without, is there
Without
compensation
asking.
sharing without, is there any compensation to the filmmaker? What happens to compensation? Just goes to the lab?
Well, usually there is no compensation at
Right,
all.
and it's-
Because what we're doing is we are partnering with all these organizations who are trying to showcase diverse talent. So we're all kind of doing each other a favor
Yeah,
to
you're
push out
showcasing,
this,
you're showcasing.
put this out. So what I would say to you is, look, it's unlikely, if you have some brilliant idea that you're terrified somebody's gonna copy for a TV series or something, then, and you're really like, just really worried about this, just don't use, I mean, it's the same risk you're gonna take if you put it on YouTube. It's the same risk you're gonna take if you show it on like cable, you know? So like, and it's very unlikely if you do have this idea, it's kind of unlikely it's gonna mesh with our secret theme anyways. Sorry, we're gonna try to throw you for a loop when we announce that secret theme. So, hopefully it will be very,
This is for him. I think you can just register with Writers Guild East, right?
Or West, either one.
For protection, so, or A, do that before.
But if you were to produce it as a movie, let's say, would it be required that the Asian American Film Lab get a credit? Would that be part of the deal?
I mean, we would hope that you would credit us. You don't have to though for the full-length film, but it would be nice if you did. You do have to credit us for the small one. Many of our filmmakers have gone on and made feature lengths based off of their shorts.
Just kind of just a general New York filmmaking question. Permits and such, I know that on your website it says officially, but is filming in New York like jaywalking? I mean, officially you're not supposed to? Like, is it run and gun, or do most people?
Have you seen The Martini? That was our film last year, and it was about guerrilla filmmaking. We're like pretending we're not filming as the security guard is like ready to kill us all, which actually happened when we were filming with Deeper Beauty in real life. But no, what we can do, so we have a page where you can link to the mayor's office where you can get permits, but
as long as you're going to use a tripod.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, and there's a lot of we have if you're a registered shootout competitor and you request it, we have a really long list of tips for how to do guerrilla filmmaking without breaking any rules, and like, you know, some of the ideas are kind of goofy, but like, you know, for example, one of the, like, talk about the tripod and everything, but also you know, one of them is if the police come up and they're like, oh, okay, you know, out, you go, oh my God, we're shooting for a wedding, it's for our friend, is that okay? And usually the wedding excuse is very well received. That's not even credit either. Just kidding, that was a joke.
I hate to interrupt, but the actual New York State law that references filmmaking in public, it's called Chapter 9. So if you just do a quick Google search for it, see where you work. It's in, I used to have a professor at Columbia who actually just printed it out. And whenever she's shooting, she always takes like a camera with her. And she often shoots in Chinatown, like busy streets, and the police officer she pulls it out.
And just on the technical, this answers itself, I'm sure, but insurance coverages and things like that, and clearances, it's all on the filmmaker, right? You don't have any umbrella coverage or something as far as liability or even, you know, stepping on copyright or something like that. We notify you.
Yeah, and you can be disqualified actually if you do. So keep that in mind, especially with music. This comes up a lot. People will sometimes use music that they don't have the rights to use, and if you do that, we definitely will try. Like, say you got put in top 10 and then we found we're like, oh my God, you know, what happened here? We'll reach out to you, and maybe, depending on what the judges have scored you, we'll maybe offer you like an opportunity to fix it really fast. But that's a big maybe. So be really careful about the music. And we actually have that. So on the website, there's a Shootout Q&A page, and they talk about like Creative Commons, like licensing, like all that stuff, what the best ways to get free music are. And we also do partner. Like, we have some musical artists that are just really fans of the Shootout, fans of the Film Lab, and they will offer their music for free for the limited purpose of Shootout films. So, you know, and you can find them on our Facebook page and our group pages. And they're great. They're really wonderful artists. Anything? Yeah, absolutely so.
Yeah,
and so like, we also Twitter, we're Asam Film Lab on Twitter, and this is Daryl King. Daryl King is our secretary, our connections officer. He's amazing. If you email him, connections@film-lab.org, he will add you to our mailing list, and that's when we pump out a newsletter. It's usually, we would never send you anything more than once a month ever, and usually it's less than that, so you won't get like bombarded. But it's a really good way to just make sure if you want to get those events that they come right into your inbox. And then if you want to have access to the shootouts workshops and seminars, then you can't. You know, for those that are not in New York or just you're busy that day, you're working, whatever, we're obviously recording them all, and so we'll put them up on AFL TV. So that's when you would want the AFL TV page. Connections at phone-lab.org for Gerald for getting in the mailing lists. Okay. Cool. All right. So really quick, the last things. Socially relevant film festival, super awesome. Check out your handouts. Come to the panels. Go to the movies. It's awesome. And NBC, just keep in mind for Shootout, NBC will be providing, Grace will be providing a mentorship to the grand prize winner, also a mentorship to Best Screenwriter, and they will be fast tracking the top 10 films to the NBC Universal Shorts, which is exciting.